I'm here with Maya. Maya is what was known formerly as a Restavek. First of all, describe what that is so people will understand, because most people have never even heard that term before, believe it or not.
Okay, a Restavek, it's like a child slave, which we consider in Haiti. A Restavek, it's a child that who, because of the situation of the parents, the parent could not take care of them, or because they are too poor, and sometimes that parent lets abandon that child either in the street or send that child to someone else, and the idea with the thought that that person will take care of that child.
It doesn't always work that way, though, does it?
Right, he doesn't work that way. Usually, instead of taking care of that child, and these children turn to be slave, Restavek, by making them work hard, do all the chores around the house, go do all the marketing stuff. Buying stuff in the market area, and they get beatings, and they're treating bad, and they don't have access to go to school, and they don't eat normally like with the family. They usually eat the rest leftovers, and they don't really dressed up. They're always dirty, their clothes always tunes, and always busy by walking.
What happens to the girls?
It's the same. It's the girls usually. Most of now you will find more girls in the Restavek system instead of boys, because it's hard for the girls to run away from being a Restavek and more than the boys, and that's why there is more boys who was Restavek, and after years of being there, they feel they need freedom, so they choose to run away and end up in the street. But the girls, they're too afraid, they're scared to run away or to be in the street, because there it's a risk to be in the street, and they prefer to, even though the situation is not good for them, but they choose to stay in the home, be a Restavek, working hard, and not going to school, and have no privilege of anything, and beating all the time, and sometimes mistreated, and sometimes the owner even use them as, abuse them sexually.
Oh, so they're also raped as well as being slaved.
Right.
How did you get out of this system? I mean, I look at you now. You can speak English. You're not just speaking Creole. You speak French, I assume, too.
Right. So
how did you do all this? How did you get away from being a slave?
I was a slave to my own aunt, my mom.
You were a slave to your own aunt.
Because my mom was separated with my father when I was, and then when I turned to 4, because of lack of financial support, she wasn't have a job. She ran away from me. So I have one of my aunt who was in the city in Port-au-Prince. At the time I was in Jeremy, where I was born. So she came there and said, "Oh, come with me. I will help you. I will support you. I will put you in school and give you a better life." I was so excited to go with her. And when she took me to here in Port-au-Prince, instead of treating me like a human being, she took me to be her slave. So, and I stayed with her. When I moved with her, I was 6, and I spent 6 years living with her, being a slave, and she was mean to me, beat me all the time. I was always working, and I was the last person to go to bed in the at night, and the first person to wake up in the morning, and go carrying water so far, and do everything. And I wasn't have time to play with other kids, and kids in in the neighborhood where I was, they with me because I was a slave. I was the Restavek, and they was make fun of me and teasing me, and so one day, my aunt sent me to the market area to buy her some Haitian rice. So when I get there, bring the rice home, she was yelling, screaming at me, and that day it was the worst day of my life. She whipped me up with something we call iguaz, and that Haitian used to hate slave Restavek, and my body was cut. So and I take advantage from that to run away from her, to run away of being a Restavek. So and when I run away, I wasn't having any place to go. I wasn't having I wasn't know anybody. So I end up in the street. So I spent 6 months living on the street, begging, washing cars, carrying things around for people, and then until I someone that I consider like an angel come and find me desperate with no hope, and one morning and ask me what happened to me. So I tell him what happened. So he took me to a detention center in Kafu called Sandake. That was a place where they're taking care of the street children. So he took me there, and from there, that's how I met Michael Gallenfeld, who is the founder of the St. Joseph family. And Michael came, and he used to bring food supplies and school supplies that he received from donation to share with that detention. And he came once morning while I was in the classroom, and I had no shoes on, and he came. He said, I am here to, I have a home, you know, this is what I'm doing, so I'm here to choose a few of you to be part of my home. So that's how I get chosen to be part of the St. Joseph family.
Maya, when you were first picked up, you know, after you ran away from your aunt, were you afraid that somebody else was going to make you a slave again?
You know, I was kind of afraid, but when I saw Michael, which was a white person, and that was my first time seeing a white person anyway. And from the story I always heard about the white people, American people, how they're good to people, how they're always supporting people, and so I wasn't having any fear from that time. I was so excited to go with him.